here we are again with another live. So today I am very privileged to welcome my good friend and an inspiration to everybody, especially if you are over 50. His name is Chris Zaremba. He is quite a celebrity over here. He's written articles and for the media, local media. I think you've been on TV and you've had your own show and all sorts of things. But I'm not going to chat about me, and I'll let Chris talk about himself. So, and if you've got any questions, then please put them in the chat. Be privileged to answer. And anyway, Chris, so that's enough waffle from me. Would you like to introduce yourself and briefly your story from being fat at 50 to being fit at 55?
Yes, thank you very much, Oggy, and good evening to you, and good evening to anybody and everybody watching and listening out there. My name's Chris Zaremba, and I am not specifically very, very fit, but I guess what's unusual about me is I used to be very unfit. I'm now pretty fit for an average person of my age, which is 64 now. But when I got between 50 and 55, I did a very, very big fitness transformation. So much so that I eventually decided to leave my job in software. I was doing software for financial institutions, and decided to make fitness into my own business. So I liked it so much that I decided to spread the word. And I could see that there wasn't much in the way of information out there for people dedicated to what I call the second half century of the life. Your better half of the first century of your life, so which is from 50 onwards. So I decided to do what I could to help other over 50s do the same thing that I've done, which is go from fat to fit. But most of my years, all of my years up until the age of 50, I was far from fit. I hadn't been in the gym. I didn't do any running. I didn't do any exercise. I had all sorts of wrong things and drunk too much of all the wrong stuff as well. But in a nutshell, that's me. Up until 50, I was very, very unfit. From sort of 50 to 55, I got a little bit fitter, or substantially more fit, in fact. And then I made fitness my business, became a fitness champion. I've been a physique champion. I've got my own TV show on fitness, and all dedicated to help other people of the age over 50.
Okay, so and we're going to go into a little bit more detail about how you did it and what changed. And I think when we go through to your transformation photographs that I'm going to show, people will be truly amazed. And I think if nothing else, it proves that it can be done at any age. Okay, so let's rewind to your childhood and your teens. How was school and sport and keeping fit and everything that kids do at school? How was it for you?
Well, I was the opposite of a sporty kid. I think I was in the toilets when the genes for sportiness were given out, because I was terrible at any kind of sport, any kind of competitive sport or activity. I was always the last to be picked for rugby. I mean, in our school, we had games every Wednesday afternoon, and it didn't take long for everybody to realise I was the worst at everything in the entire year. I remember we one particular day we had a rugby match with every Wednesday in the winter. We had rugby, and in those days the way it was done, it's probably done much nicer these days. But in those days, there was two captains that were selected, who were the people who knew what they were doing and were very good at sport, and they picked from everybody else to go alternately into their own teams. So the captain of Team A picks somebody, then the captain of Team B picks somebody, and so on until there's nobody left. And I was always the last one left. And on one particular occasion, I do remember that there was an odd number of players. So therefore, when it got to the last one, which was me, I naturally strolled over to the side that picked the one before me. And the captain of that team said, "Oh no, sir, can I have Zaremba? We had him last week."
That must have made you feel a bit crap, to be quite honest.
Absolutely. I'm sure that sporty and athletically inept people in school are treated a lot better these days. But they certainly were back in the 1960s, 1970s. It wasn't just rugby; it was everything really. Because I'm an only child, so there weren't any fights over toys in our house. So there was no, I had no level of competitiveness at that age. So, and I guess sort of that sporting and competitive stuff wasn't really brought into me very much. I was so lousy at sport, I didn't feel competitive at anything. And I mean, to a certain extent, I'm sure it had some mental effect on me, because even today I avoid team sports. I mean, the only sport I've ever played which I've been anything other than totally rubbish at is squash, which of course is a 1-to-1 sport. I only took that up much later in life, of course, but I wasn't actually totally rubbish at that. But again, that's not a team sport. Of course, now I do a few sports, mainly running and cycling, which are indeed competitive, but again tend to be individual rather than team sports. And of course, I spend a lot of life in the gym as well.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. We've actually got a question from Craig. I'm going to put it on the screen. Chris, this is one for you.
Right.
Can you see that okay?
I can. For getting back into fitness post-lockdown. Oh, loads of advice for that for Craig, the formerly fit and active 60ish man. Is he has to get back out of the lockdown lifestyle and back into his previous lifestyle. So if he was fitter and more active before lockdown, and lockdown's left him spending most time at home, lockdown's left a lot of people less fit than when lockdown started, because more people are working from home. And if you're working from home, that means you're probably working on a laptop, which means probably the furthest you walk in an entire day is from your bedroom to your office, your home office, or wherever your computer is. And you're burning up very, very few calories. You're using up very little energy during your day compared to pre-lockdown. Pre-lockdown, you're probably walking to the station, getting a train somewhere, or driving somewhere, and then walking up a set of stairs. You're doing lots more movement in those days. And also, during lockdown, if your computer takes more than a second or two to load a file, maybe more than 5 seconds, then what people will tend to do is they'll go and grab a snack from the kitchen, because most people have got their house organised such the kitchen is very near their home office, so they can grab a chocky bicky or a cookie at any time, and people do, and that what people did. So those are the kind of habits that Craig and his friends would have to kick if they're going to go back to their pre lardy self. I know lardy was a phrase that Craig used, and lethargic self. So try to reintegrate movement into your life, Craig. Try to move a bit more. Try to a bit more activity, and of course watch what you eat. I mean, there's no particular change of post lockdown other than increasing the amount of movement you do. Exercise is great, but exercise can be just movement as well. Just walking around is movement. Is exercise as well. So increase your movement and decrease the stuff you eat and drink, especially the bad stuff. And most people, when they get to the age of 60 or thereabouts, actually know what the bad stuff is, what the stuff is that they should be trying to avoid. So my advice would be to try and get a bit more movement in your life. If you wake up first thing in the morning, go for a bit of a walk before having breakfast. Maybe do a bit of a gentle jog perhaps before breakfast. Then go to work, do your work stuff, and when you come back home in the evening, don't just slob in front of TV all night. Go and do some exercise, and all the way through the day, think about what you're eating and when you're eating. So I've got lots and lots of advice to give people about what they should eat and when they should eat.
Thank you very much, Chris. And that's one of the reasons, a bit of a plug for my channel now. One of the reasons why I started my channel was to use my knowledge and experience of exercise to help people work out at home with no equipment. And in the early days of my channel, certainly when we were in lockdown in the UK, it was all about movement, exercising, and doing something. But I know a lot of people who in the gym I work used to do exercise a lot, and throughout lockdown for months on end they did nothing. And I think that and they're now just getting back into it. So I think, Greg, the main thing is just to find an easy way back into it, like even if it's just going for a walk or doing something.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people get scared off by it by thinking that the advice they're going to get from a professional personal trainer like you or like me is they have to go to a gym and they have to join a gym, and they get frightened by that concept. And the answer is no, you don't. You can do if you want to, and there are many more options if you do that. But if you don't do that, you can still move. In terms of burning fat, we really are looking at a calorie deficit. The reason why people put weight on during lockdown is their calorie deficit is shrunk the other way around. So they're consuming more calories than they're expending. That's the number one thing they need to move. It's not all about calories by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a substantial part about calories. So if they can reverse that, one thing that I've a statistic I came across the other day was that it's not so much about that lockdown, but it's more about the Western way of life and how in this life that we now have in the West, in the UK, in the US, in the whole of the sort of Western world and quite a bit of the Eastern world nowadays as well, is there is an easy availability of low nutritional value food and highly calorific food as well. I mean, you didn't used to be able to get food as easy as you can get it now. There's a takeaway on every street corner with Uber Eats and Deliveroo. You can get your food delivered, your low nutrition value food delivered straight to your door, so you don't have to do any exercise at all in getting it. And of course, when you get it, then it's as we say of poor value, no doubt highly calorific as well. And life didn't used to be like that. And also, if you look at the amount of way we spend energy, the way calories we burn up. Now, most people have got jobs where they stay either at home or they go to an office and they sit down all day. Go back 50, 100 years, and most people had jobs which involved moving around a lot more, whether it's manual work in a factory or working in the fields or whatever. Then there was more movement involved. And the statistic I came across is that on average, about 100 years ago, an average person would expend 500 calories a day more than they consumed. That's why peasants and factory workers and colliery and workers were thin, because they expended 500 calories per day less than they consumed. Now that's reversed. So the average person now consumes 500 calories more than they expend per day. And that is why we are facing an obesity crisis, because these days people are moving less but consuming more. And what they are consuming is not such good high quality food either.
Yeah, agreed on that. Okay, let's move on. So talking about nutrition and exercise and everything like that, a quote from your book, Chris, is you're having a great time when you reach 50. What do you mean by having a great time?
Well, at 50, I was 18 stone in weight, which is, for anybody in America, about 250 pounds. And I think it's 140 kilos last time I checked, 115 kilos. And now I've lost about a third of that. I'm down to 11.5 stone, which is about 165 pounds, which is about 75 kilos. So I've lost a substantial amount of my body mass. And we've got some pictures. Look at that. There's some pictures of me, and in the corner there you can see a picture of me before and after. And how I got to that before stage, you can see me with my wife in the middle. If you move your cursor just around there, that's me and my wife. And there are lots more pictures of me there in a rather chubby way in my I call it my Eamon Holmes period. Actually, some of my photos of me from those days make me look awfully like Eamon Holmes, I think, especially the one down the bottom, just bottom left, just neck down there. Yeah, I think I look just like Eamon Holmes there. So I was having a great time. I was eating and drinking whatever I wanted, and I did very little movement. So I was having a great time. Absolutely, there was absolutely nothing unhappy about what I was doing. But I was managing to put weight on at a fairly decent whack, a fairly indecent whack, I should say, until my GP told me when I went to the GP to talk about something else, something trivial. I don't know what it was, athlete's foot or earwax or something. It certainly wasn't anything significant. And the GP said, "Chris, you're 50 now, and you look like a big chap. Let's just get the scales out, find out how big you are." And they did a BMI calculation. I'm not the biggest fan of the BMI calculation, but it does work in some ways. Unless you're working on people who are heavily muscled, the BMI calculation does work. And and my GP said, "Chris, your problem is you are obese, my friend." If you keep on going the way you're going, you are unlikely to see your 60th birthday. And this was when I was 50. So he kind of read the riot act to me and told me that I had to redesign my life from that point onwards. He said he could prescribe pills, and I mean, there wasn't such a thing as bariatric surgery in those days. This is now like 14 years ago. He said he could give some pills, but he'd much rather that I change my life in such a way that I could do it naturally. There's a cheerful but very, very chubby Chris there on your screen. So I did. I changed my life dramatically from that day onwards. I still didn't get into competitive sport, but I did start doing a lot more exercise, and I started counting calories. What I did was for a total of 2 years, I set myself a maximum of 1,800 calories a day, and to move as much as I could. Now, in those days, life wasn't as easy for the calorie counter or for the nutrition watcher as it is today. We didn't have things like MyFitnessPal that you can record all your nutrition on very easily and scan barcodes on things. And we didn't have things like Fitbits to record the calories you movement and the steps you take, for example. So it was all much more estimated. But I did have a little booklet which you could buy in those days. You can't buy them anymore because it's all online now. A little booklet that showed you the calories and everything. And I set myself that particular number of calories to live by for a total of 2 years. And in those 2 years, I lost 6 stone in weight, which is, what's that in pounds and kilos? So 6 stone is 84 pounds. So which would be about 42, 41 kilos in 2 years. Now, people, when they say to me, and I say to my clients now, I lost 6 stone in weight in 2 years, they say, well, that's amazing. I mean, it's impossible. I think it would be impossible to do that. To lose 6 stone in 2 years, and the answer is, well, no, it's not impossible because I did it, and I did it from a standing start. I did it from being totally non-sporty and non-active. And the other thing is, 6 stone in 2 years is actually rather less than a pound a week. So I said, can you lose a pound of weight a week? And I said, I can do a pound a week. I can do a pound, yeah. Well, if you do that for a year, that's 52 pounds. Do it for 2 years, that's 104 pounds. That's rather more, I think, than 6 stone.
Yeah.
So you can have some weeks off for holiday as well. And people get a little bit surprised when they do that calculation.
Yeah, and of course the added complication when you are a bit older is I've certainly find is that naturally it is more difficult to actually lose weight, and also to get out of the habits that you were in and had been in for decades. And so on that, Chris, is that you, what was your approach knowing that you were 50, you were told you were going to have a heart attack if you don't do something about it? There was another reason why, your hobby at the time, which I'd like you to explain, but generally, what was your approach? First off, what was your hobby and that made you want to really do something, and what was your approach at the beginning to start yourself off?
Right. Well, my hobby then and still is flying small planes. I've got a private pilot's license. Don't fly them very much these days because it's horrendously expensive now to rent a plane, even for half an hour and fly it. But it still can be done. And my hobby was flying small planes. And within 1 week, maybe 2 weeks of the GP telling me to lose weight, I had my aviation medical. You won't be surprised to learn that to be allowed to fly a little plane around the UK or indeed around the US, you have to have a medical, and you have to pass that medical because they don't particularly want your plane dropping out of the sky on somebody else if you have a heart attack or whatever while you're flying. So within 2 weeks of me having my GP's warning about being excess weight and needing to lose some weight and needing to get fitter, within 2 weeks I had my aviation medical, which was turned down, and my pilot's license was taken away from me because I wasn't fit enough to fly, because my blood pressure was too high, my blood cholesterol was too high, and my blood sugars were too high as well. In fact, where I was defined as being pre-diabetic. So I was on my way to being diabetes type 2, and the result of that, my flying license was taken away. So within the period of 2 weeks, I had my GP telling me to I mean, he didn't actually use these words, but the phrase was "diet or die" is probably what he said. So if I summarise it in 3 words, I mean, luckily I chose the 4-letter word. Um, and at the same time, my aviation medical examiner, they're called, said, "That's it, you can't fly anymore." I had my flying license taken away from me, which was a hobby that I enjoyed doing, even though it did cost me an arm and a leg. I'm pleased to say now that my GP is very happy with me now, and all my readings are at least as good as typical for a person of my age or better, including blood pressure, including cholesterol, including blood sugars. All those measures are now fine. I've of course got my flying license back as well, which is nice.
Yeah, brilliant. Before we move on, Chris, Craig's got another question, which hopefully you can see now.
Yep.
Would you like to have a go at this one?
Protein supplements assist weight and muscle gain. Oh, absolutely. Protein supplements, if you're talking about sort of a protein shake, then that's typically a meal replacement shake. So this is really sort of the quality of the calories that you're consuming. So if you want to talk about weight, let's sort of talk about weight gain. You want to put the weight gain is easy. You just eat more than you use up. So that's what I did for the first 50 years of my life. But eating the wrong kind of food, eating the wrong kind of calories, or too much of the wrong kind of calories, is not going to lead to muscle gain. It's going to lead to just weight gain, which is going to be a vast amount of body fat. So protein, protein is the key nutrient. Protein is a word that comes from the Greek meaning of primary importance, and it is a primary importance in preserving and feeding the body and letting the body grow. Not just in muscle gain, but things like hair and nails and skin quality. They're all driven by a decent amount of protein in the diet, and they are hindered by if you have too much of other things in the diet, specifically too much in the way of fast carbs and too much saturated fat. You need some saturated fat. I mean, the brain is 70% saturated fat, but too much saturated fat and certainly too much sugar is the wrong thing to have. So you could your wife Wendy could put on a lot of weight by having a diet which would have more sweets and chocolates and bread and cakes in it, and ice cream, etc., etc., etc. They're the very worst types of fast carbs, because most of those got fast carbs and saturated fat in them as well. But that would not assist her in muscle gain. That would assist her in weight gain, but not muscle gain. So for muscle gain, she should be looking at moving a lot more towards protein sources, which is quite easy if you're a vegetarian. If you're not a vegetarian, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, it becomes a lot harder, and you have to study closely to find out where you're going to get your soy protein, your pea protein, and so forth from. I'm not a vegetarian, so I'm very happy to have my protein come from natural sources such as mainly chicken and fish like tuna.
So, and I'll just give my thoughts on protein supplements. I take a whey protein supplement probably once or twice a day if I'm actually training. The reason being is because for what my needs are, I just cannot eat enough food because I'm not a big eater. So getting the extra 20 grams or so of protein from a protein supplement, whey protein, for instance, really does help me meet my macronutrients for protein.
Yeah, and if you want to actually think seriously about putting a bit more muscle on, then protein becomes even more important, and timing of protein becomes important as well, because if you're starting to think about putting muscle on, and maybe you're working out in the gym, the activity you're doing in the gym of resistance training, which is a sort of weightlifting and resistance machines, that activity actually destroys muscle. It doesn't build muscle, it destroys muscle. The muscle gets rebuilt. So having been torn apart in the gym, it gets rebuilt bigger and stronger, and that rebuilding takes place overnight during the body's maintenance phase. And to do that efficiently, it needs to have protein. It needs to have specific types of protein, proteins made up of 22 different amino acids, different types of amino acids. Of those, a number are essential, and of those essential ones, a lot of them you have to get from food. Some of them the body can make itself from other things, but there are some that you have to get from food. And there's a whole load about stuff that's in my book as well. So we go into great detail about different types of protein and types of amino acids.
That's a topic all in itself, isn't it?
We can talk about that, yes. But
Yeah.
so the answer to the question, Craig, for your wife Wendy, is yes. Taking, even if she's not going to doesn't want to become like a competitive bodybuilder or something like that, then it's very, she needs muscle. Because people say to me, this is probably an adjunct to that question. People say to me, yeah, Chris, I've seen your photos. I know you've been a physique contest contender and a winner, and you've got a cupboard full of trophies, which is true, I do. But I don't want to do that. There's no reason why I need to go to the gym and lift weights, because I don't want to do that. And the answer is, well, no, you're not going to become a physique champion just by lifting weights at the gym to an average extent. I did it to a big extent, so that's how I did it. But what you are going to do is you're going to get yourself fit for life. And what I mean by fit for life is, as you get old, what's the opposite of adding strength? The opposite is becoming frail. And becoming frail is the default as we get older. There's a condition called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is a natural condition. It's basically the loss of muscle mass and muscle quality as we age. This is what happens. It's a natural process. You can't stop it. There's no pills or potions you can take to stop it. You can slow the process down by helping to fight the natural degradation in the quality and amount of muscle by doing some resistance training and eating the right things that's going to aid the muscular development. So those things are, for example, the right types of protein at the right times of day. For example, protein shakes, as I'm sure you'll take, obviously, straight after a weight training session, for example. Yeah. So the opposite of becoming stronger is becoming weaker. And if you don't think you ever want to do anything that's involves muscle, then I bet you do. I bet you occasionally pick up something like a heavy saucepan off the top shelf, or if you go on a flight somewhere, you want to put a bag into the overhead locker. It's probably too big. You probably should have checked it in the first place, you naughty boy. But if you want to try and put it into the overhead locker, you're going to use chest and tricep muscles to push it into the overhead locker, and back and biceps to pull it out again afterwards. So these are the kind of things that you need to have. My wife's gran fell on the floor once when she was quite old, and she couldn't actually help herself get up because she didn't have the strength in her arms and her chest to push herself up from the floor. Okay, so to do that needs some strength training. Now, I'm not going to take a 90-year-old down to the gym for the first time and give her a big dumbbell to throw around, but these are things you can start fighting back. You can start combating the frailty. You can start combating the default condition of increasing sarcopenia if you go to the gym and start doing some muscular training as well. This is a lesson I learned very late in my fitness career, actually, because for the first 3 years, I lost, first 2.5 years, I lost maybe probably the full 6 stone in that time. But I wasn't going to the gym. I wasn't doing any weight training. I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't eating protein. I was just eating less. And I was doing some cardio to burn up some calories, but I wasn't actually doing anything to build muscle. So what I did over those first couple of years, which took a fitness professional to tell me all about it, was I was losing weight. I wasn't losing body fat. I was losing weight. And weight, in this case, includes body fat plus muscle plus water. So you're losing a lot of the water in the body. About 80% of the water in the body is actually stored inside the muscle. It's not water in your gut. It's water inside the muscle. So I was losing muscle quality with the water out of it, muscle amount, as well as a small amount of body fat. But as this fitness professional told me, I was becoming frail. I was becoming weaker. And losing fat is great, but you don't want to lose fitness as well. I wanted to increase my fitness. So I wanted to go from fat to fit, not from fat to unfit, and of course less big. But so the big lesson I took home from that was to make sure that I did some weight training and I got a carefully planned program, which somebody worked out for me. Now, no, obviously I do it for myself and I do it for other people as well. And of course, eating the right stuff in the right amounts at the right time of the day.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I tell, like one of my latest clients. He's 65 years old, and what you said, she doesn't want to go down the gym and look all buff or anything like that. She just wanted to lose fat and increase her strength, really, for everyday activities.
Yeah,
not only that, she wanted to look better in her clothes, even at the age of 65, which is great. But she also has had injuries on her spine, problems with bad back pain and everything like that. I'm pleased to say that after just a few weeks of working with her, we some clothes she hasn't been able to try on for years now fit, and also her back pain has gone away, and which, you know, it makes me feel good, you know, especially as I'm old as well, you know, to help somebody in their 60s. And if she carries on, goes into her 70s and hopefully 80s and beyond, then she's going to be able to do daily activities. And when you get to a certain age, it's carrying shopping or something like that.
Yeah.
Or playing. For me, I've got grandchildren, you know, being able to lift them up and being able to kick a ball in the park with them. And it just makes the quality of life so much better.
Absolutely, it's not all about putting on muscle for on stage, because most people don't do that. There's only weirdos like me do that. But most people do have to have a quality of life whereby they are not getting frail, they're not getting weaker as they get older.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so
I think the Americans have got it different to the Brits, by the way, because in the UK it's still unusual for me to see other people of my own age in the gym. So I'm now in my mid-60s, but you don't see many people in my age in the gym. If you do, they're on the cardio machines, which is great for losing weight. It's not great for losing fat. It's great for losing weight in the cardio machines.
And you mentioned cardio, and having read your book, see that? There's a camera. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Chris's book. In there, he explains that at the beginning, what he was doing just lots of cardio, and then you come across a guy you're on holiday, I think in was it Los Angeles? I think was it when you met a guy called Rob Riches, who
I met
changed things for you.
Yeah, I met a guy called Rob Riches, who is English, but he's now moved to America. He moved to America now about 15 years ago. He's making his life over there as a fitness professional. I met him and we got on quite well. And in fact, we're both good friends now. When he comes to the UK, he stays with me and my wife, and when we go over to the States, we often stay with him and his girlfriend. And Rob Riches was a chap who told me that what I was doing was making me weaker. It was making me lose weight, which is great. I'd lost 3 stone, I'd lost whatever, but it was great to lose that weight, but it was not great to become more and more weak, to become frail as I got older. Yeah. So it was him who put me on the trail to doing some muscular development work. And I suppose without him, I probably would never have gone on to get really, really addicted to the weight training activity, such that I ended up going on the competition stage and winning trophies, because Rob himself is a world champion fitness model, world champion in physique. He's incredibly well known for this activity. Last time I looked, his YouTube videos have got something like 50 million views or something. So he's a proper fitness icon. This is Rob Riches, and he probably without his influence, I may not have taken my fitness career quite the way I did.
And there's Rob there. Can you see those?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is a real professional at it, isn't he?
As you can tell from those pictures, he doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to losing weight and to losing body fat rather, and putting on muscle. So he knows what he's talking about, and I think he got me into getting not just standardly fit, but getting more fit perhaps than the average person, especially when it comes to muscular development and keeping to a low level of body fat. And as a result, he kind of sponsored me to go into my first fitness modeling competition.
Okay, talking of that, so you nicely brought me on to the next topic, was the competitions that you have been doing since then. So start from the beginning. How did you feel thinking, I'm too bloody old for this? Was that what was going through your mind when you were preparing for it, and when you actually the day of the competition?
Well, I mean, there's such a thing as bodybuilding, which everybody knows about, but I don't want to be a bodybuilder, because bodybuilders to me, they're just huge and badly proportioned. And most competitive bodybuilders, if not all competitive bodybuilders, are taking stuff that they shouldn't be taking, either through eating and drinking it, or through even injecting it themselves. And I don't want to go down that route, so I've never eaten or drunk anything that isn't available from Boots or any other chemist. So and that's just a standard rule I have for myself. So I didn't want to go to a bodybuilder. So there's something called fitness modeling, which is nicer than bodybuilding. It's like bodybuilding, but with bigger trunks. I'm pleased to say, with bigger trunks and with bigger smiles, and slightly smaller muscles, but better proportioned. So I got into fitness modeling, and Rob, I think it was, pointed out there was an organisation in the UK called Miami Pro. Even though it's in the UK, it's based in the UK. It's called Miami Pro, and they have their competitions in St Albans. Now, I don't actually know if there's an organisation called St Albans Pro in America that has their competitions.
I doubt it very much.
Yeah, I doubt it very much as well. But Miami Pro has its competitions in St Albans, and Rob points out that they have an over 50s category, which kind of got me interested, because if they've got over 50s category, then that's the category for me. And I entered their British Championships, and amazingly came first. And it is an amazing feeling. I mean, you're standing on stage with not very many clothes on, not quite a tiny speedos, but not much bigger. They've got to have sides of at least 4 inches long for the trunks that you wear, so they can't be tiny speedos. And you're standing there. You're wearing spray tan. You have to wear spray tan, because otherwise you look like a white ghost under the stage lights, and you don't really want to look as white as that. So you need to be spray tan, as you can see in the picture there. As I say, I came first in the British Championship, and then I became first in the World Championship as well. And I went on to do several other competitions with Miami Pro, and in all of them I came in the top 2 or 3. Didn't always win, but more and more people are getting interested in doing this as well, always in the over 50s category. In the end, I did 6 different competitions, 6 with Miami Pro, and got trophies in all of those. And then I moved to another provider of these competitions, or another what the word am I looking for? Another league called Pure Elite, and the Pure Elite Championships. I also did very well in those, and I competed in 3 of those. So I had 9 trophies, and then I decided to retire from it. And then a friend of mine, a younger bloke that I was helping to train, suggested that he and I should go over to Los Angeles and compete in an American show, because I'd kind of had my fill of competing with Miami Pro and with Pure Elite. So I wanted to do something else. So we went over to Los Angeles and competed in the end, he didn't compete, but he acted as my coach for that event. That's Dan Wines. And we went over to Los Angeles, and I competed there, and I got 5th place in the over 35s category. So now, and that's 3 years ago. So I was 62, and I've got 5th, which isn't too bad at all. There were 8 people there. I think I was the only one there not in their 30s, but I've managed. But I still managed to show these whippersnappers a thing or two.
Is that the Muscle Beach one competition?
Yeah, the Muscle Beach competition.
Right, yes. I'm just going to show that now.
Okay.
It's a short video, so I'm just going to show that one now, if you bear with me.
I said it was 3 years ago, as you can see. 4 years ago now. It's me ridiculously spray tanned again, even though this competition is actually done in the outdoors. It's not done inside, it's done outside, as you can see. But even so, and this is a competition done with longer shorts again. So this is done with, it's called board shorts. And there's me with my 5th place trophy, and that's my coach, Dan.
That's really good. But now you have hung up your shorts and your Speedos, have you?
Well, I keep on saying yes. Yeah, I keep on saying that, but I've got another good friend, and who's getting married in January, and looking forward to going there with my wife to meet him and his new wife. And his name is confusingly not Rob Riches. His name is Rob Rich Lee, and he lives in Southport, and he desperately wants to go to the Muscle Beach and compete. And we work out together sometimes whenever he's in London or I'm up north. And I think we'll be doing the. I think I might be doing another one. You never know. We would have done one 2 years ago if it wasn't for this little thing called COVID that stopped us.
Yeah, you and I were going to do one, I think, and we thought about doing it for my 60th last year, but yeah, COVID put the damper on that ambition of mine. I've never done one myself. It's something I wanted to do, just a one-off on my 60th birthday last year, but
yeah,
hey ho, can't turn the clock back now. But I think that my time has passed on that. Anyway, so we move on. Chris, you've done lots of media stuff in the UK, and I'm just going to show a Daily Mail article from 2019.
Right, I can't remember that one, but I'm sure it'll bring me some memories.
Can you see that now?
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yes, just in the middle of the screen there. Yeah, yes, that was my story, and it was 2019, so it's 62. There you
go. There's the pictures we've just shown,
and a few more pictures beneath that as well of me. Working out.
And there's the lovely Jenny.
That's my wife.
And you on your wedding day.
That is, yeah, looking like Eamon Holmes again.
Yeah, you were rather large, weren't you?
I was a big fella then. I was a chunky old chap in those days.
Yeah.
And there's my first competition winning in when the guys who came second and third either side of me in the.
Wow! Yeah.
And a few more working processes. I've forgotten about the article in Daily Mail, and they also won for me from they put lots of photos in, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten that article. There you go.
So that's one, but you've also written articles for other magazines, and you had your own TV station, not station, sorry, TV program.
That's right. And again, I kind of blame this on my mentor in fitness, if you like, Rob Riches, because he's very big into media and he loves doing fitness videos and he loves appearing on things. So it's probably him who got me into this kind of thing as well. So yeah, I've written many articles now for newspapers and magazines and so on. And I've done I do every 2 weeks I do a fitness radio show on the local radio station. So near us, there's not planned, but I'm drinking from their mug now, so you can probably see it's Marlow FM 97.5 is the local radio station in Marlow, and every 2 weeks I do a fitness radio show between 10 and 12 on a Tuesday morning from Marlow FM, and I've done that now for about 5 or 6 years. I also just put together for a TV station. It doesn't exist anymore, called the Community Channel. It's now been rebranded as Together TV. It's quite a long way down on the Skybox and quite a long way down on Freeview, but it is there. I did a two TV series called Fit Happens. So I had to come up with a name, and I decided that Fit Happens would be a great name for a TV series because it kind of rhymes with something, and I'll leave it to people to work out what Fit Happens rhymes with. But it was something that I decided would make a good TV series. So I made a little magazine program. I've got a couple of my friends, Nicola and Keith. Keith's sadly no longer with us. He died of cancer a couple of years ago. And we made 2 series of Fit Happens, about 12 episodes in total. It's all on YouTube. They were kind of magazine shows, and in the back of my mind, I'd hoped it would become something a bit like Top Gear, but for fitness. And I thought that if a mainstream broadcaster like Sky or BBC could pick it up and make it into a proper series it was a proper series, but put some money into it, we could have we could do it like Top Gear. We can have a star in a reasonably priced gym, for example.
Yeah. Well, good luck on that.
No, I tried my very best. I was knocking on doors at TV Centre and stuff like that, as was the guy who produced it for me. But it was done on a shoestring budget. I mean, I think the total budget for both series was about £150, and that was all by me buying sandwiches for the crew, basically.
Wow.
So it was done with students from the local media studies unit at Bucks New University, which is a local university near us, and all those students needed to work on a project for their degree course in media studies. So they were all very, very keen. So they gave me free expertise, and I had free access to all their editing suite and stuff.
Wow.
So it was very good. It was a good program. It was good. It happens. It's all the episodes are on my YouTube channel, by the way. So if anybody scrolls up and down my YouTube channel, which is just
when this is over, I'll put links to your channel in the description and everything like that. So let's move on. So, like me, you are a qualified personal trainer. So, what made you decide that, and how's it been going?
Oh, it's very, very well. I mean, I've spotted that there is a lot of. I mean, there are a large number of personal trainers in the UK, but there aren't very many who concentrate like you, Olgie, and me, concentrate on the people who are over 50, which I always think is it's a bit surprising, because all personal trainers, indeed nearly all gyms, focus on the younger person, and the younger people probably don't have quite the need to go to the gym as much as the older people do. And they probably got less money to spend, because by the time people get to 50 or 60 or beyond, they've probably got a bit more cash in the bank, as well as the more of the need to go to the gym to work out. They also have the willingness to learn as well, because I found that the other time I've tried to train youngsters, they get bored very easily, and I think older people in their 50s and 60s are much better at learning in the gym. So I started a business called Fitness Over 50, which is this logo here. That's not, it's this logo here, and which is also there as well, which is brilliant. And it's also, I think, on the it's also on the front of my book, as I just realised. It's on the shirt I'm wearing.
Oh, snap!
Yeah, how about that? So at least 2 copies have been made, been sold. There you go. One, two, one. There you go. So I started a business called Fitness Over 50, designed to help people over 50 who were, as I was, in other words, underfit and over fat, to change them around so that they were not, they were no longer underfit, but they were overfit if possible, and not to become underfat, but to be the correct weight, but with a better body distribution, a bit of better body composition distribution. I mean, most people from 50 to 60 need to look at should be somewhere in there, around about maybe 15 to 25% body fat, maybe a bit more, well, about 4 or 5% more for females. But most people are much higher than that. So it's not just the overall weight, it's all about the body composition as well. And it's very easy these days to get your body composition measured. You get bathroom scales that do it. I wasn't sure where I was going with that. Anyway, what was the question?
Yeah. No, I think we got a bit sidetracked there, but I know, like me, you're so passionate about it that you can talk for hours about, because you've been in a situation that I've never been in. I've never been overweight, a little bit, but nothing like you or anything like that. I can only imagine what it must be like to be in that situation. But as Ellen said earlier, is you haven't seen pictures side by side, wouldn't believe it was the same man. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? So
it isn't Eamon Holmes at all. I just look like
yeah. So you're still doing personal training. What's next on the agenda?
Well, keeping much the same thing, I think. I mean, I've kind of given up in trying to persuade TV stations to really put some money into the Fit Happens TV series. I've still got the rights to it, and if anybody watching happens to run a TV channel and wants to show an episode or indeed a series of Fit Happens, I can do that. They can easily do that. I've got all the rights to the series. So I've given up that, but I'm going to carry on with the radio show. I'm going to carry on with the writing of the articles. One thing I've started fairly recently was I've started up a club, because I can't obviously do personal training for everybody everywhere. I've started up a monthly club, a subscription club for people who want to have questions from me and get my words of so-called wisdom, called Fit Club 50. So Fit Club 50 started about 2 years ago, and people can subscribe to it. It's £10 a month, and for every month you get a newsletter from me with some articles, with some videos which aren't available anywhere else, with some recipes, with a recipe which buildings a recipe book, with some infographics showing some tips on fitness, and you get access to my exercise library. I've got a video library of about 200 exercises that I've done, so you get to see all of those. You get a training course, a full course with the first months in Fit Club 50. So I started this Fit Club 50 thing, which is going very well, and it's quite a nice thing to do, to have a regular reminder. So for the people who are in Fit Club 50, it's quite nice for them to get something in their inbox from me every month, and that contains, hopefully inspirational tips to get them moving. It's obviously suited to the time of year, so if it's coming into winter, I'll be advising people what to do to try and improve their fitness levels as we get into the days when the lights start. The light starts disappearing much earlier in the daylight from tomorrow. And of course, recipes appropriate for the time of year, and links to other exercises as well. So that's something I started up a couple of years ago. The thing about Fit Club 50, and I do like inventing names for things like Fit Happens, the TV station for the TV show. The thing about Fit Club 50 is that I want people who are in it to tell other people about it. So the first rule of Fit Club, you do talk about Fit Club.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to start winding it down now, but I'm going to show another thing that you've got, your own personal website,
right?
Okay, which is
it's fitnessover50.co.uk. Sorry. It's very, a lot of people have told me this, that there's far too many words on it, far too much advice, not enough pictures. So, but there's about 70 odd pages on there, and it's mainly advice, because I don't want to just give advice through my personal training or through my TV show or through my radio or my articles, but I want people to look at the website and find out stuff to do to learn from it.
And you've got a whole bunch of stuff on there: workouts, nutrition. I think Misty was on about nutrition, and we all know that how important that nutrition is.
Yeah.
And there's your Fit Club 50 that you were talking about just now. Yeah,
that's that. And so if you want to interested in Fit Club 50, it's there's a page all about it on the website, saying what you get for your £10 a month.
Yeah, and also you've also got approved personal trainers. Oh, and lo and behold, I'm there as well. Well, there's a shock.
Yeah, what I've done is that I can't be everywhere at all times. So people who I know are of the same age group as me, and not necessarily the personal trainer themselves, but they are used to training people of that age group, who've proved to me that they've got the abilities and the empathy to work with people over 50, people who are not in the first flush of youth, people who perhaps keen to learn, but they're a little bit less flexible perhaps in terms of their bodily movement. They need to work on coordination. They need to work on proprioception, which is the ability to position yourself in space, your body in space, and you're grabbing things correctly. So flexibility, movement. People who are a bit less down there than the average person. So those are those people who convince me that not only, obviously, they've got to be qualified to be a personal trainer, but if they're qualified to be a personal trainer and they're in a bit of the country that I'm not in, or even if they are, then I can put them on that site as well. So it doesn't cost anything. There's no money involved, but I'm just happy to help promote fitness for the over 50s.
Yeah, me. I'm not sure if we answered this one from Nin. What made you decide to become a PT? Not in a short answer. What made you decide to take the leap of faith to becoming a PT?
Because becoming fit made such a change to my life, that I wanted to pass it on to as many other people as I could. So, I mean, and then obviously that's why I do the articles. That's why I do the TV show. That's why I do the radio show. Oh, obviously I enjoy doing them. That's why I do them as well. But because I want to pass on the message of fitness to as many people as I could, and one-to-one is a good way of doing that. So, that's how I became that. So, I have a phrase I use. I use the phrase a lot, which is, if you get fit from the 50th year onwards, getting fit will add years to your life and life to your years.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
you'll not really have more years. You will enjoy those years more. I certainly have.
Yeah.
So getting fit will, as I say, will add years to your life, life to your year, and life to your years. It's a phrase I use an awful lot.
Yeah. Misty, talking about, you do talk about Fit Club. I think you're quite passionate about it.
I do. Well, I mean, Brad Pitt is not yet a member, though. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Of course, so yeah. The first rule of Fit Club is you do talk about Fit Club.
So a good question from Ellen. Is it possible to over-exercise? What's your opinion of that, Chris?
Yes, it is, and unfortunately, the human body isn't fitted with a strain gauge. It would be very, very good. I mean, the key symptom of over-exercising is you break something. Hopefully, not a bone, but you might be stretching a ligament or a tendon or some other connective tissue that you do not want to be stretching. So that's one thing you can get wrong. And you're likely to you can injure things without over-exercising with bad form as well. So it's very important to do things correctly. So if you're moving weights around in the gym, there are tips to do it correctly and tips to do it bad, and not tips, and there are ways of doing it badly. And that's something that I talk about a lot. So it is possible to over-exercise. It's possible to over-exercise both weight training and in cardio, and it's the symptoms of over-exercise are kind of well known. Is you get depleted, you get tired, you get irritable. I mean, but those are also symptoms of many other things as well. But if it becomes your daily fix, and you think, oh, I can't exercise today, that's a problem, then maybe you should check, am I getting too addicted to this? I mean, I did, and I became a fitness addict, and that was definitely me. But I was enjoying it, and I was happy to become a fitness addict. So, is it possible to over-exercise? Yes, it is. If you find yourself getting tired too much, irritable too much, if you find it giving it too much of a priority in life, like your stuff you need to do at home, stuff you need to do at work is suffering. I ended up losing my job. I agreed to depart from my job when my boss discovered I was spending more time in the gym than I was at my desk. So that's how we decided for me to leave my job because of that. And that's when I got into more into fitness. So yes, you can over-exercise, but and it can be addicted to exercise as well. But when you think what the other things you can be addicted to, exercise isn't that bad. What else can you be addicted to? You can be addicted
exactly.
To unhealthy food, alcohol, drugs, gambling. I mean, or exercise. Which of those would you rather be addicted to?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad my addiction is good for me. So Hard Body Training says, my saying is, we're all going to age and get old, but we don't have to turn old. I like that saying.
Yeah.
Quality of living is better when you're fit.
Absolutely
spot on.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. How can you not disagree with that? But unfortunately, especially when people get older, into their 40s, and Smithy's on, and I think he's in his 40s, right? I've seen men and women, right, who are in their 30s and 40s. They are just storing up problems if they don't do something about it, even though it's never too late. But it's just like compound interest. It's going to store up and store up and store up. And before you know it, you're going to be in a situation, let's be perfectly honest, Chris, like you were.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, one other thing as well, I tell my clients when they come and see me from a personal trainer, just going back to the previous question, is that no one's going to have obtain miracles from just seeing a personal trainer, even you, Oggy, or me, just for 1 hour a week. There are 168 hours a week, and you are not going to reverse a whole lot of 50 years of maltreatment of your body by doing something 1 hour a week thereafter. So when I see my clients, I say, I'm going to do something for an hour with you, but then I'm going to tell you how to live the other 167 hours. Of course, not all of them, but so it's 167 hours that's going to change you. Not my 1 hour, not my 1 hour of personal training. I can tell you what to do. I can show you what to do. We'll do it together. But this is what you need to do during those other 167 hours.
And that's what I tell my clients is that, I'm just here to guide you. You've got to put the effort in.
Yeah.
You can take my advice, or you can just poo-poo it and not take it. That's entirely up to you. But at the end of the day, I'm giving you the advice to make your life better. I've had some clients who've done it for a couple of weeks and then just given up, and I don't go chasing after them because there's no point. But there you go. That's different people. So I think we're going to draw it to a close now, Chris. Have you got any closing comments? And if there's anybody in the room who've got any final questions or comments, then please put them in now. But have you got any closing comments, Chris?
Well, if anybody's got any questions they want to ask me they haven't asked so far, I'd be very happy to answer them. Just drop me an email. The email address is chris@fitnessover50.co.uk. It's chris@fitnessover50.co.uk. That could be a 50 or an FIFTY. If I've said
on your website as well, is it?
It's all over my website as well, yes. So, and all my tips are in my book. If anybody wants to lash out £15 at Amazon, my book, which is called Fat to Fit at 50. It's actually a two-part book. It's the first 150 or so pages. Part one is my fitness autobiography, really, what happened to me and how I changed and why I changed. And the second half is my advice for other people who are now as I was. So it's all the advice, suggestions, and some spreadsheets and exercises and lots and lots of information in the second half of that book. So that's my book, Fat to Fit at 50. That was my lockdown project. So I kind of think writing the book is it's not my grand finale in fitness, because I'm going to carry on going to the gym, and I may just appear on stage again in another physique competition. I'm going to carry on the personal training, so I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing at the moment. But writing a book was for me a good use of the lockdown. So in the lockdown I couldn't do very much, so I got myself down and wrote a book which is, like, believe it or not, it's 100,006 words.
Wow.
100,006. So somebody told me that the best books are between 60,000 and 100,000, and I got it down to 106.
That's pretty good, pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's no, there you go, Cliff. Smithy is just Smithy. Not sure where you're from, Smithy, but he's in the UK somewhere. Go on the right path and give you all the advice, but you've got to put the effort in. Yeah, exactly as we are saying.
As we just said, the 168-hour rule. There are 168 hours in a week. The success of your fitness project will not be governed by what you do with that 1 hour you spend with me. It will be governed by what you do in the 167 that I'm not with you. That's going to govern the success of it.
Yeah. It's very pleasing to know when you've got your clients a result as well. And Smithy had a video of one of his clients a while back who was making brilliant progress. And it's as a personal trainer, it's one of the best feelings in the world when your client achieves their inroads towards their ultimate goal.
Yeah. I mean, when I do my clients, I know we're meant to be moving on, but for all my clients, I keep a track of their data on spreadsheets, and I show them, and we do this exercise every week, and we do various exercises that can be compared 1 week to the next to the previous week, and so on. And at the end of each session, I send my clients a report at the end of each session and say, you are now 3.2% fitter than you were this time last week, or where's that? Yeah. So, and we have graphs as well. Yeah. And I'm sure you do as well, do the body percentage, do the body composition analysis, how much muscle, how much water, how much bone, how much fat, and how those figures are changing as well. So that's all part of what you do with that's where the personal trainer adds value. Yes. I mean, it doesn't add value by standing next to you while you're running 20 minutes on a treadmill. Personal trainer doesn't have any value there, but he does have value by saying, now look, you've done in this, you've done this weight, or this number of repetitions, or this distance, or this time. This compares to the previous time when it was this. This shows you've done that much, and to improve more. By the time I see you next week, I'd like you to have moved that from there to there. Yeah. And that I predict that'll move your body fat percentage down from 25 to 24 or whatever. Yeah. So that's where the personal trainer is really adding value to the client.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we're going to close there unless there's any final questions. I'd like to thank Chris for joining me in this hour-long live chat. I'm going to put down some links to Chris's website and where you can get the book, etc., in the description below. And I'd like to thank everyone who's joined us in live. But if you're watching it on replay, thank you very much as well. And we will see you again soon.
Thanks a lot, Oggy.
Thank you very much. Okay. Bye-bye.